Welcome to Gimmer's Gaming, where we're going to be playing BrewMaster, where you brew your own beer, you complete jobs, and you can enter competitions. You can actually also brew your own custom beers. So let's get into it and start a new game. Welcome, brewer. You're about to take your first steps into the world of home brewing, a world packed with creativity, discovery, and most of all, excellent beers. Brewing is an art with endless possibilities where true mastery can take a lifetime. Yet, at its heart, it's wonderfully simple. Anyone can pick up a brew pot, throw a few ingredients together, and create a tasty, thirst quenching beer to share with friends and family. So that's exactly what you should do first. Let's get brewing. So, our first step is to come over here to our equipment chest, and we're going to get a small brew pot. We're going to put it into the sink here. And to take the lid off so we can fill it with water, we just click on the V button. And then we hit the E key to turn on the tap and fill it up with water. So we need about 21 liters of water. Unlike with other cooking simulator games, you don't need exact amounts. If you're close to the amount they want, you're okay. So we're going to speed up time here so that we're not waiting forever. And we're a little, well, actually, how much are we at here? That's close enough. So we're going to come over here to the burner, or what they call the hob, and we're going to turn on the burner here, and we're going to put it on. And then we're going to come over here to the fridge. Now, some of our ingredients we have to keep in the fridge, such as yeasts, hops, and malts, to keep them fresh. So we have to we have to choose which kind of malt we want. Let's go with the amber malt extract. And we need 2 kilograms. Over here, it gives us like how dark it'll make our beer, what kind of a protein it's going to add to our beer, what kind of flavors and flavor notes it'll add. So it wants us to add 2 kilograms of any malt. So let's get 2 kilograms, whoops, of our malt. So we come over here and we hit the E key on our keyboard. And then we use the scroll wheel to pour this maple syrup looking stuff into our water. And as you can see, it turned the color of our water into this light yellow color. And if we come over here to the trash can and we just click on the trash can, it'll throw away our empty malt can. Now, if we come over here to this cupboard, this is where we keep our like our dry ingredients. So now it wants us to pick a steepable grain, and this is like a tea bag where you would put it in the water and it steeps the water. So let's go with Vienna Crystal, and it wants us to get 500 grains, 500 grams. And again, over here, it'll give us like what our, how dark it'll make our beer, and in what flavors it'll add. So let's go ahead and get 500 grams. And then we're going to go ahead and clip it into the brew pot just by clicking E. And now it wants us to boil the wort. And if we hover over the pot, it gives us what the temperature of the wort is. And then what we can do, and as you can see, it's as the temperature increases, it gets darker. And plus, because we have the Vienna Crystal in there, it's getting darker. But if we hit the T button, we get the little stopwatch, and we can actually increase how fast time goes. So we're going to increase time. And we don't need to wait for it to hit all the way up to 100 degrees. It'll start doing like a boiling animation, as you can see right here. Once it starts doing that boiling animation, it's boiling and you're good to go. So we're going to come over here to our fridge and we're going to go for our cold ingredients now. So it wants us to get the hops, and hops has 2 main purposes, which is to add flavor and bitterness to our beers. The amount of bitterness is determined by the alpha acid content. The higher the AAC, the more bitterness that hops will add. The longer hops are boiled, the more bitterness and flavors they'll add, but flavors begin to boil off after a time. Whilst bitterness continues to climb, this is why bittering hops exist. These are mainly used for bittering and are boiled for longer, whilst flavor hops are added near the end of the boil. So we'll add 20 grams of any bittering hop. So right now we only have two different bittering hops. So let's go with Marauder. So we're going to do 20 grams of Marauder. And over here, once again, we see here's our alpha acid content, and here's the flavors they'll add. And then we're going to add 50 of any British. So let's do 50 of the Ruggles. Alright, so we're going to add our bittering hops to our wort here. And we're going to boil this for 50 minutes. So we're going to go to 148. Oops. Went way over, didn't I? Alright, so we're going to add our hops in. And now we're going to wait 10 minutes. And then we can go ahead and remove all of this. Oh, it's actually going to make us wait, isn't it? Okay. Oh, wait, maybe we can... Okay, good. Okay, so now that we have the hob turned off, it wants us to cool the wort. So we can either we can just leave it on the hob because this is turned off. I just prefer to have it on the workbench. That's just my personal preference because we do everything over here anyway, so it's just over here ready to go. So at this point, the only way we have to cool this down is to advance the game by a day. So we come over here to the calendar and we advance the time by a day. And if we can see now that our wort is cooled down to 20 degrees. Now, the drawback to advancing to cooling the wort this way is that it picks up contamination. The wort gets all flavors this way. In the beginning of the game, there's nothing we can do about that. But as the game progresses, we'll get more equipment that'll allow us to cool the wort faster, so that we can lower the contamination and control it a little bit better. So now we're going to get a fermentation container. So we're going to pick up one of these. We're going to put it down. We're going to hit V to take off the lid. We're going to pick up our brew pot by left clicking on it, and then we're going to hit the E, and then we're just going to pour in this beautiful chocolate brown wort into our fermentation container. We're going to put our pot back down on the table, and then we're going to get our yeast. Yeast is crucial to the brewing process as it turns fermentable sugars into CO2 and, best of all, alcohol. It also adds its own unique flavors to your brewing during this process. Attenuation is yeast efficiency, how much of the fermentable sugars it will convert into alcohol and CO2. The remainder will become unfermentable sugars. So right now we have two different yeasts. We have the SoCal Ale 1 and the Mild Ale, which is so it wants us to pick one of these yeasts. If we go with the SoCal Ale 1, we can see what flavor it's going to add to our ale. We can also see what alcohol tolerance it is. So alcohol tolerance means this is how much alcohol can be in the wort before the yeast starts to die. So our wort can have 15% alcohol before it starts to die. Optimal temperature means that our wort has to be between 20 degrees and 23 degrees Celsius. If it's above 23 degrees Celsius, the wort's going to be too hot and the yeast is going to die off. If it's below 20 degrees Celsius, the yeast is going to go into hibernation and it's not going to do anything. If we click on this mild ale, the alcohol tolerance is only 10%, so it's going to have a lower, it's going to cause our beer to have a lower alcohol content. And then as we can see here, it has a lower optimal temperature. So we can actually lower the wort temperature down to like 16 degrees and then 20 degrees. So if we had like with this, if we had it at 21 degrees and we used the British ale, our yeast would start to die off. So we're going to just go with the SoCal Ale 1. And I picked 2 by mistake, so I'm just going to throw 1 out. And then we're going to hit E. And we're going to pour our yeast into the fermentation container. And then we're just going to throw away the empty packet. And we're going to hit V. And we're going to put the lid on. We're going to come over here to the calendar. And we're going to advance the day by 15 days. Okay, so now we're going to come over here, and the game wants us to get some sugar. So we're going to add 150 grams of sugar into our wort. Well, at this point, I'm not sure what it's called, but we're going to add 150 grams of sugar to our mixture here. And then we're going to come back to our equipment chest here. And we're going to get a conditioning container. And we're going to get a tube. Now later on in the game, we'll get like a pump where we can put the conditioning container on the table. And we can actually pump it from here into here. But for now, we have to use gravity to draw it from here down into here. So we're going to take the lid off of here. With the tube selected, we're going to highlight the tap. We're going to hit the E button to connect the tube. We're going to highlight the conditioning barrel, and we're going to hit the E. And then, as you can see, we'll have this highlighted dotted line. That's the tube. We're going to highlight the tap. We're going to hit the E button. And then, as we can see, the liquid's going down. And over here, the liquid is going up. So we're just going to advance the time by a little bit to make this go faster, so we're not waiting. We're going to turn off the tap. We're going to hold the E button. We're going to pick this up and we're going to put it on the table. We're going to put the lid back on. We're going to pick up our fermentation container. Now, we have 2 different choices here. If we just click on the equipment cupboard, it's going to ask us, storing this container will automatically clean its contents. We could hit confirm and it will clean our fermentation container and automatically put it away for us. If we were brewing a different beer, like a second beer automatically, we could come over here to the sink and hold down the E key and it would clean this, and then we could take, like, if we had a second pot of wort ready to go, we could pour it into the fermentation container and we wouldn't have to like come in here, get another one, and go through the whole process again. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this away, and I'm going to put the tube away. And I'm going to go ahead and put that away as well. Okay, so now we just go to the calendar here, and we're going to advance the day by 20 days. And now we're ready to taste and package our beer. So we're going to come into our tasting room. We're going to go to our taps here, highlight it, and we're going to hit the E button. Okay, so here it gives us our beer profile, and the first page is the appearance. It gives us like a little bottle of our beer, and then it shows us a glass filled with our beer. And as you can see, we made a pretty dark beer. The color of our beer is dark. We have a 49.2 SRM beer, which is a pretty dark beer. Our carbonation is 2.35 volume, so we have close to a medium carbonated beer. Our clarity is hazy. Our batch size, we made a small batch size, so it's an 18.8 liter batch. So we'll continue. Our next page is our taste. So we have our beer is more on the malty and sweet side. We have a 6.4 crisp and clean beer taste. Nothing for sour and tart. Nothing in dark and roasted. 10.9 malty and sweet. 1.6 fruit and spice. Here, this is the off flavor. That's the contamination I was talking about. Um, you want this flavor to be as low as possible. You don't want this to be a high number. You want this to be very low. Um, this is the bad flavor. And like I said, the way you keep this lower, you when you're boiling the wort, you keep the lid off the boiling pot. You cool the wort down as fast as possible, and all that will keep this number down low. Right now, there's not much we can do to keep this number low, but as the game progresses, we'll get more equipment that will help us to lower this number. We don't have any smoky flavors, and then our hoppy and bitter flavors are at 5.8. Down here we have aroma and flavor notes. So we have a 9.7 caramel note in our beer, 6.2 mint, 6.2 woody, 6.2 earthy, 6.2 grassy, 4.3 toffee, 3.9 floral, and 3.2 dried fruit. So if we continue, um, here's our taste. 4.96 is our alcohol volume, which is about middle. This is about the alcohol content of like an apple cider. Our bitterness is 557.8, so it's on the high side. We have a medium body. Our contamination, this is the all flavors, and we're at a 7.4. And again, like I said, this is the bad stuff, and right now there's not much we can do about that. Here's our original gravity. This is the liquid, is a measure of its density versus pure water. Original gravity is the gravity of the wort before fermentation occurs. Um, this is the gravity of a liquid, is a measure of its density versus pure water. Final gravity is the gravity of the beer after the fermentation. So it went down. I have no idea what this means. If you want the final gravity to be lower than the original gravity, or if you want it to be higher, I if anyone knows anything about brewing beer, if you want this to be higher or lower, please let me know in the comments. And then here is our summary. It'll give us like percentage of what beer style our beer matches best. It just basically gives us a summary of our beer, like what aroma and flavors our beer is in, standard flavors, our carbonation, alcohol content, color, bitterness, and what beer style ours fits. And then over here is our packaging. So now we can name our beer. The only thing I don't like about this is I wish it would save like the name of the beer. Each time we have to rename our beer, so we have to go in and we're going to call this, we're going to call it, I guess, Gamir Stout. I guess it's an IPA, they're saying. So we'll call it an IPA. Here we can, I guess we could, well, how about this? We'll call it ale. We'll call it Gamir's Ale. There we go. Right now we only have the Belgian bottle. As the game progresses, we'll get different bottle types. Glass, we could change to different glasses. So we got like the beer mug, goblet, tulip, pilsner, nonic pint, or pint, sorry. IPA, stout, and then the Weizen. I kind of like the Nonic pint. But let's go with the beer mug. I've never seen a, well, I guess so. Um, and then we could go in and we can make our own label. Um, I wish you could like save like actually save the what kind of a label you want to use. That's good. All right, so we're going to return to the workshop. And then it gives us a little display bottle where we can just put it right here on our little shelf here. And then it takes our conditioning barrel and it puts it right here. And we can actually use this later on in the game if it matches any like jobs or competitions that we get later on in the game. If it matches the conditions for a job or a competition, we can actually use that to fulfill the job or competition later on. But for now, we're just going to go ahead and end the tutorial. So we're going to come over here. And the way you end either the season or, in this case, the tutorial is you come over here to the front door and you just click on the E key on your front door. And then you can either hit the space key on your keyboard where you can just click on confirm. And it'll progress until the next season, or in this case, it ended the tutorial. When the next season starts, um, you'll you're presented with a new issue of what's called Brewers Quarterly, and in Brewers Quarterly, it'll give you, this is where you get your like your jobs, your competitions, if there's any. It'll give you your new recipes. It'll add to your Brewpedia, which gives you like the history of brewing beer. There's a lot of information in there. Um, and we'll go through all of that in our next episode. Thank you for watching, and join us for our next episode where we'll start our first jobs and continue with brewing beer. Thank you.